direction from my office, which was a little over a mile north of the World Trade Center. We walked down to the site, and as we did, we took plastic bags and we cleaned up the altars that we found where there were crumpled papers or coffee cups or cigarettes, and we kind of did that as an act of service as we walked a mile south down to this horrendous, I think it was 20-story pile of smoking metal and debris. And what a few of us said was that it felt as though the veil that separates the physical world from the spirit world was so thin that even in New York, where people are very sensory based and kind of very people live in digital time. I mean, everything is very kind of linear and focused and disciplined. That the longing to connect with the spirit world was so intense because of the magnitude of that loss that you could literally feel like the human soul of the city just reaching out to touch and connect with those who were kind of blasted away into spirit. And it's something that you see throughout Latin America, because in Latin America people believe that the human realm and the spirit realm interact with each other all the time, and people are not afraid or ashamed or embarrassed to let that show or to create, an altar someplace where they may have lost a loved one. But in New York, I'd never seen or felt anything like that. And I really felt that it was because the magnitude of that horrendous attack had literally ripped away the separation between our human souls and the spirits or the souls of those who are no longer with us.
Yeah,
I found it profoundly spiritual.
Very, very. And one of the first things Jean said to me after he left his body was, "Death is an illusion. There's a very thin veil between the realm where you are and the realm where I am. The veil is thinner than you can ever imagine. I'm standing right here." And I didn't believe in God or the afterlife. He was the one who was, a religious and a famous Jesuit who taught at the Vatican for most of his life. And, the minute he left his body, he started showing me that there is no separation between us and what we call heaven or afterlife, or if you're more scientifically minded, the dark matter, the 95% of our universe that's comprised of dark matter or dark energy, which is all around us. And this scientific explanation fit with what Jean was saying. And then when he said, "Let our love shine like a torch that lights the path for others," I started to realize that what he was saying is, in our reconnection, let that be a light that shows others to reconnect with their loved ones in spirit. Their loved ones are right here too. And you don't need to, quote unquote, wait until you die and enter heaven to be reconnected. Heaven is all around us. Heaven is here and now. Heaven is in the dark matter. So I don't even believe, I truly, truly believe this, that we are not supposed to be separated from the people we love. We form a bond. It's for eternity. And as long as you remain separated, you are going to grieve. And I am, all over the world saying to people that you must reconnect and you must stay connected. And you've got to do it now. Don't wait until you, quote unquote, die to be reconnected. Do it now, because heaven is all around us. Heaven is here and now.
I think it's very wise. My dad was an atheist, and when he died, he didn't believe in an afterlife. And a number of years after he died, I was interviewing a woman who's 80 years old. She was a medium in England, and while we were speaking, she said, "Oh, your father has a message for you." And I said, "Don't be ridiculous. My father's an atheist, and he doesn't believe in an afterlife." And she said, "Well, he says he apologizes, and you were right, dear. Now can he speak to you?"
Yeah, right? It's so funny. My mother picked a fight with me the night before Jean's funeral. And, it was horrible. She's, yelling at me, "You can go F yourself. You don't have a mother anymore." And I leave the house. I'm hysterical crying. And I say, Jean, look what I'm left with. And the next thing I find out on Christmas Eve, to be exact. This is 2 months later. My mother calls me and says, I want you to know what happened after you left the house that day. She said, I heard the most loud pounding, furious pounding on the walls. And I said, but Mom, you don't believe in the afterlife. You don't believe in God. She said, I still don't believe. I just know what happened.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
But and 6 months before, I think it was 6 months. Yeah, 6 months before Hurricane Sandy, I had a series of dreams. And my father came to me in a dream and said, "You're going to need water. You're going to need water. You have to get more water into the house." And then around the 4th of July, my favorite uncle appeared in a dream. He said, your dad's upset. You're not really taking this seriously, but you really need to get more water. You don't have enough water in the house. There's going to be an emergency. And then Labor Day, my dad showed up again for the second time, and this was like the third dream, and he was very stern with me, and he said, you're not taking this seriously enough. You're not paying attention. There's going to be an emergency. There's not going to be enough water. And so each time I would have a dream, I would come back with a few gallons of water until ultimately I had like 2 cases of water and 13 gallons of water. And during the night of the storm, the town sewer pump blew out in the storm surge, and when the water or the flood water receded, everything was contaminated with raw sewage, and we had no drinking water. And because I had extra water, I was able to give water to my friends and neighbors who had not been, where nobody really expected, something of that magnitude. And I was able to give water and to share the water with people who really needed it, because
this is an excellent example.
My father and my uncle had come to me from the spirit world to say, we need you to pay attention. Please get more water.
It's very important, no matter how crazy it seems, when a thought pops into your head or you get a visitation while you're sleeping, you want to pay attention. You want to listen.
Right.
Because there is no time. That's also part of what quantum physics teaches us, as you know,
right.
that the future has already happened. That's how come we can leave this moment and go into the future and see the future that's already happened, and how those in spirit can warn us about the future that's already happened. It's already been written, and it's already happened. It's so mind-boggling, but that's how we're able to get these premonitions. And you really want to listen. It's a funny thing. I remember a patient telling me that his grandfather, who was healthy, left his body suddenly. And 1 week afterwards, the mother and father were in the front of the car, and this little boy, who's now grown up, was in the back seat. And he, unbeknownst to his parents, had unclipped his seatbelt when they had a car crash. And the little boy said that he felt his grandfather's hand reach down and stop him from going through the windshield.
Oh my God.
That blew my mind, because I said, Grandpa left his body because he knew the accident that was coming down the pike, and he knew he needed to be in spirit form to save his grandson. It's already happened.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. We really don't understand, time is a construct that we made up. And, I actually have, for many years, enjoyed traveling to, I call them the forgotten corners of this hemisphere, where time as we know it doesn't exist. People don't have the internet, they don't have television, they don't have digital time. And so, your cycles of time tend to follow the sun and the moon and the tides and the stars and the planting season and the harvest season, and your body kind of naturally responds organically to what they call biological time. And there's a type of time that one anthropologist calls mythic time. And in mythic time, and I think you had that with Jean, at mythic time, you and this other person always, you never age. You always feel that you're the same age. It's the two of you in this kind of magical bubble of life. I recently had a visit from a very, very dear friend. We were roommates freshman year in college. And, every time we get together, it's like we're 16 years old and we're just exploring wherever we happen to be.
Yes, because you were with her. You are with her at the level of the soul. And the soul is timeless. That is so beautiful the way you described it, because I always knew I was out of time with Jean, and I never really understood it fully. I just knew somehow we were out of time, and every morning when he saw me, it was as though he was seeing me for the first time and worshiping me, as though he were falling in love with me for the first time. But that's when you're in the soul.
Right.
You're out of time. It's always new. This is how we want to live. Oh my gosh, speaking of time, we've got to take a break.
All right.
Talk about the dualities here of the modern radio broadcast. I'll be back with you in a moment on Love Never Dies Radio.
EDECIA is a U.S. nonprofit dedicated to the dream of ending childhood malnutrition for millions of children around the world. Through the manufacture of Plumpy Nut and other nutrient-rich, peanut-based, ready-to-use foods, EDECIA has already delivered life and hope to nearly 1 million children in over 26 developing countries. To find out how you can join EDECIA's dream of ending childhood malnutrition, please visit edeciaglobal.org.
Looking for a fun and relaxing getaway? Omega Rest and Rejuvenation Retreats are a great way to unwind and renew your spirit. Stroll through the garden, relax by the lake, or try a daily yoga or movement class. You can stretch your body, quiet your mind, and do as much or as little as you choose. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
You're listening to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If you can't stop crying over the bodily loss of a loved one, Dr. Turndorf's #1 international bestseller, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, will show you how to toss out the tissues and transform your grief into joy using her groundbreaking new Dialoguing with the Departed technique that enables you to reconnect and even heal unfinished business with those in spirit without the assistance of a medium, channeler, or psychic. Sign up for Dr. Love's free newsletter at AskDrLove.com and receive an exciting gift, a free excerpt of Love Never Dies. And now, back to Love Never Dies with Dr. Jamie Turndorf.
Welcome back to Love Never Dies Radio. I'm talking about the 5 gifts with Dr. Laurie Nadel. Have you noticed you and I are just sort of out of time? We're having a real soul connection here in the
Yes.
It's just
absolutely, yes,
so precious. So
yes.
I had the thought while I was on the break that rather than be theoretical, I would share with you a little bit about my life with this man who Jean sent me, who had 4 tours in Afghanistan, and make the trauma come to life and how you would treat this trauma become more tangible. Would you be up for that?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but sure, let's give it a shot.
All right. Well, because I think that the experiences that he has of the flashbacks and the PTSD are very, very similar to many people who have been in horrific situations, wars, natural disasters. And so I actually saw a movie. Did you see this film on Amazon called Leave No Trace?
No.
It's an amazing, it's almost like a documentary. It's a true story of a guy who was in Afghanistan and how he isolates And I noticed that a lot of the people with PTSD, especially soldiers, warriors, they go into caves and they just find it very difficult to come out. They need to isolate a lot. I'm sure you've experienced this with people that you're treating, right?
Well, I've experienced it myself. I think what happens, and I know from